Morning, it's Mark Johnson, CEO of Loyalty360. Hope everyone's happy, safe, and well on this Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening where Marlon is. I wanted to welcome you to another edition of Loyalty Live. In this series, we talk to the leaders in customer channel and brand loyalty about the technology trends and best practices that impact a brand's ability to drive unique customer experiences, but most importantly, brand and customer loyalty. Today, we had the pleasure of speaking with Marlon Bowser, who's a founder and chief executive officer of HTK, and Marlon actually is in the UK, so it's quite late over there, isn't it?
It's not massively late. It's 6 p.m. here, but normally I'd be sat outside in the garden with a glass of wine by now. So, you know, this is a different opportunity for me, shall we say. So thank you for that, Mark.
No problem. You could have had a glass of wine. I don't think anyone would have been offended in these times. Things are much more casual. That would have been fine.
I never like to presume things like that, but.
All right, no worries at all. Well, thank you again for taking the time to talk to us today. I'm looking forward to the discussion. First off, can you tell us a little about yourself and also about HTK for those who may not know what HTK is and what you guys do?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we're not a terribly well-known organization, certainly not outside of the UK. I founded the business back in 1996 after a spell at the University of Manchester. So I graduated with a degree in computer science and maths. So I'm a techie at heart, and historically I was the CTO at HTK. I spent my formative years writing code, and actually an awful lot around advanced speech technology. That's where we started out as HTK, on speech recognition and text-to-speech synthesis, which at the time was groundbreaking, and then had a bit of a lull for a few years. And of course, in the last 5 years or so, it's really come back round with Alexa and Siri and all those technologies. So voice has had some resurgence. We still do an awful lot of voice technology today for companies like Telefonica, O2, and Specsavers in the UK. But primarily, we're about digital customer experience and loyalty. So we have a software platform, Horizon, which is really aimed at the mid-market and does a range of things. So at its core, it's around data and analytics and machine learning, segmentation and profiling and targeting, and all the clever data stuff that you need to do. But as well as that, as well as the insight capability, it's the action tools. So what you do with that insight. So Horizon has a bunch of customer engagement tools, from kind of full-blown marketing automation through to kind of real-time engagement across mobile channels. And of course, the loyalty engine, which goes beyond points and tiers and all the stuff you'd expect through to where I think is really quite interesting, which is around personalized promotions and financially optimized promotions at the point of sale. So it's kind of a broad platform. It's fully integrated. It's our own IP. We've been developing it for many, many years now. We're very fond of it. We're very proud of it, and our customers seem to like it. So we provide the technology. We do some services. We're not a consultancy. What we do is kind of hands-on support to our customers, help them get the best use out of the software. But we partner with loyalty consultancies and strategy agencies in the UK, in the US, and not quite around the world yet, but our role is in the tech primarily.
That's awesome. That's great. And can you share a fun fact about you? It's always good to get to know a little bit more about the people we're talking to. We had stories about boating across the Pacific and being left on the doorstep when they were a week old in Vietnam. So we'd love to know maybe a fun fact about you, a passion and interest. Wine in the garden sounds like it may be one of those.
I'm not going to get into my drinking habits in too much depth on this call, Mark, but and I can't claim to have been left in Vietnam on a doorstep. My mother, and hopefully she doesn't watch YouTube, she actually once left me and my twin brother outside of a shop in London, and she came out of the shop with what she'd been shopping for. I can't remember what it was. Walked home. Actually, she got the bus and left me and my brother in a pram on the high street in Croydon outside a shop. It's only when she got home, about half an hour she got home, she realized, crikey, where are the children? We were about 1 year old at the time, and we spent a fun afternoon all by our Todd in London. So not very much of a fun fact. I think probably the fun fact that not many people know is I have 9 dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, big ones too. So we have 2 English Mastiffs and 7 Bull Mastiffs.
Yeah.
So about a ton of dog in the house, which is fun some of the time.
That's a lot of dog food and a lot of dog other stuff as well. That sounds like a lot of cleanup.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's a lot of dog and everything the dogs do. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, good. How do you keep your? I know Englishers have a nice, beautiful gardens. My first house, we had a nice garden. People were like, oh, it looked like an English garden with all that. How do you keep the grass green with all those dogs?
Well, I mean, it's a good question. What you learn to do is not to even try. You
Okay.
soon lose your personal pride in everything that you own. You know, I mean, dog hairs and dust gets everywhere, and I have no nice clothes. I have no nice shoes, and the garden is greenish. But you know, we bought the house for the dogs, so you know we've got about 4 acres here, and you know, it's their house. I just happen to live with them.
That's good. All right. Well, that's good. Well, it's good to know that it's a passion for dogs for sure. It sounds like. So you gave us a little brief overview of your company. Can you tell us a little bit more about kind of the technology, how you work with others, and maybe white label functionality, and just some of the functionality that you have, right? How you configure the platform and grow the platform. Because having taken a look at it, kind of looking at it, it would be part of the Technology Today report we have. It's a very unique platform, but I would love to have people get more detailed understanding of what you guys do with the tech.
So just a bit more of an overview of the platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the nice thing about Horizon is it's quite broad and integrated. I mean, one of the reasons that people tend to come to HTK is, you know, it's a single platform and only one place to configure things. And once you've configured, you know, a new segment or something, it's immediately available for Marcoms. It's immediately available for deployment in terms of a promotional audience. It's immediately available to handle inbound inquiries and automate a real-time response. So there's only one platform to configure, which makes doing anything relatively quick. I think there's a high level of agility there. And as I mentioned, you know, it's kind of got the customer data platform at the core of it, Horizon 360. That has a really nice, unique USP, which may come on to later in terms of the what we call Elvis Insight, something I'd like to talk around. But there's a solid customer data platform with, you know, all the kind of segmentation you'd expect, and fully integrated with machine learning. We host with Amazon Web Service, so we have a great data pipeline for feeding information and data out of Horizon into different models, which can be built custom, and then you can do some exploration and discovery around that, and then feed the results of machine learning and data science back into the platform to use. And that's all kind of done automatically. And that aspect, actually, we call autopilot. You know, our kind of vision for platforms like Horizon is to move from, you know, where things have been, which is having to know what you're looking for, knowing what you want to do, and then going and doing it, through to kind of predictive recommendations, which is the next thing, what might happen. But I think the next advent from that is really prescriptive advice, telling people what they should do. And this is where we're going with Horizon in terms of even a non-expert marketer or a non-expert, you know, loyalty program manager, you know, can come along in the morning, log on, and there's the 5 things. If you're going to do 5 things this week, do these 5 things. Whether that be addressing a different segment, maybe there's a trend line going in the wrong direction, or maybe there's an opportunity to drive some revenue. You know, maybe it's just a time of year where things have been done previously under similar circumstances which have worked really well, and maybe just need to be reminded of that. But you know, autopilot's all about moving towards that prescriptive advice to help people do the right thing based on the insights and recommendations from the machine learning. We have a marketing automation capability, SendSmart. You know, it's incredibly cost effective, but you can do kind of scheduled drip campaigns across different channels, outbound and inbound. And also one of the new products, CX Flow, we've mentioned, which is, you know, all around handling real-time triggers. And those triggers could be anything. You know, it might be somebody going to check out and buying a particular product. It might be the fact that just raised a customer service inquiry, and actually that inquiry wasn't resolved first time. You know, it might be, you know, they've gone to the e-commerce website, and whatever it might be, there's events happening all the time, either by customers doing things or not doing things, the absence of activity. The question is what you do about it. And I think it's when you combine things together, so insight, the fact that a customer's come to your e-commerce site, they're a new customer, it's their first purchase with you, or maybe it's their second purchase with you, which is really quite a crucial time. And maybe from that first purchase they made, you've learned they're a potentially high value customer. They bought some expensive shoes or some fine wines, or whatever it might have been, and they've just made their second purchase with you. And maybe that didn't go so well. You know, businesses should know if somebody's ordered or paid for next day delivery, whether that delivery happened on time. And if it didn't, be proactive with that, reach out. And actually, especially for a new customer who's potentially high value, reach out and make sure the product met their expectations. Were you happy with your new shoes? Did they fit? I bet they look great. Would you mind showing a photo? And actually, you know, going the extra mile. So you know, CX flows all around how you kind of embrace and maximize the potential for those, you know, opportunities to engage a customer, whether it be through customer service or a sales environment. And also, you know, knowing what to ask next. I mean, one of my favorite phrases is knowing, you know, what's not the next best action, but the next best question for a customer. I think brands don't ask enough. They don't listen enough in terms of being able to ask. You know, so I think if you listen to your customers, have some context there, you'll be able to ask, how were the shoes? You know, what do you think? Did we resolve that service issue for you? You know, are you willing to give a recommendation? But going from, whereas marketing's been a very one-way street of just spamming people with non-transactional emails, start asking questions, having a dialogue with customers, and CX flows all around how you can start those two-way conversations to have more meaningful dialogues. And the loyalty component we call PlusPoint, very inventively. I say it's a pretty comprehensive, you know, points engine. It can do levels and tiers and membership programs. But as I mentioned, one of the areas that you know, we see is really an opportunity for most programs out there today, and certainly a lot of programs today, is just the amount of money they squander in terms of, you know, handing out promotions like confetti. You know, whether they be points-based promotions or money off discounts or whatever. I think some organizations see a loyalty program as quite rightly a rewards platform, but I think they go too far with it. I think you can go too far in terms of making the rewards too accessible, too desirable, and just giving them away when there's no need to. And a lot of organizations we talk to are concerned about this in terms of, is our promotional strategy working for us? Are we targeting the right people with the right offers for the right reasons, with the right results, and be able to measure that? You know, in financial terms, in pound note terms or dollar terms, did the promotion work? You know, did it create the sales lift we wanted? Did it create the profitability we wanted? Or did it just pull forward sales? Did it cannibalize sales from other product lines? Is our promotional strategy working? Is it optimal for the customer, for the business? And one of our product sales lifts isn't entirely about that. It's just, you know, recommending the right promotional offers to the right people, the right time, and being able to measure the impact of that and then optimize it and tune it, you know, to optimize the program financially. Okay. So yeah, so we see that as being quite an important thing, and Horizon brings all those together in a single platform, you know, with a starting point of less than $1,000 a month. So, you know, it's a lot of capability. And I think the main thing with any SaaS platform is the ease of use. So we try and make it dead simple for people to use as well.
Okay, great. What are some of the biggest challenges you see? I think you mentioned that maybe too many rewards. Is that kind of the biggest challenge you see right now, especially with COVID and others? What are maybe one or two challenges that you see right now around customer loyalty?
I think one challenge is, it's always been there. I mean, you know, the kind of emotional loyalty that we all talk about these days. Does it really exist? You know, I'm loyal. I don't watch football, soccer. You know, a lot of people are loyal to their football team, I'm loyal to the English rugby team. That tends to come from, a strong identity with place, where you were brought up, where you lived, and that kind of, there's some peer pressure there, but it's a strong identity to place, and it doesn't really exist in many other sectors. So I think you have to recognize that, loyalty is a thing which is earned, and it can come and it can go. And I think, often people, lose sight of that. It has to be earned. I think the biggest issue with any loyalty program, outside of airline perhaps, is in many cases the marginal benefit it delivers, in terms of, you can do an awful lot of work for not much return. And I think that's something that needs to be looked at. I think there's a challenge the industry has, in terms of, whether these programs are really delivering the benefit that they could, and that we believe they are. I think that's a huge challenge. I think, as we were just saying, I think that is also the opportunity, in terms of there is huge opportunity to make these programs and strategies very, very profitable, by not just optimizing promotional spend, but by addressing those the customer experience aspects. It's you have to look at where loyalty is earned, and you have to look at where loyalty is destroyed. And I think if organizations can look at where the loyalty is eroded, let's say destroyed, that's the issue they have to address. And I think there's huge opportunity to do that.
Excellent. So when you look at brands that are doing a good job creating customer loyalty, are there a couple that you think that are doing well, even during COVID or maybe before? Obviously, they may be a little English focused or UK focused, but we still love to know what they are and why.
Crikey, I've got so many examples. Do you know what? It's not a UK focus. I'm not a customer of this organization, but I think Tesla does a tremendous job. We could all talk about Amazon until the cows come home. I think Tesla has a terrific following. I think that they have some, with Elon Musk, they've got some real charisma at the helm. I think their values are very strong in terms of what they're trying to achieve, what their purpose is. I think the product, from what I know, is good. I think the innovation is just awesome, and they have some amazing influencers out there. I think they did the referral program, where if you refer enough people to buy a Model S, and you get a free Model S or even a free Roadster. And I think, you look at their presence on YouTube, and just the love for the brand and the positivity around the brand, I think they do. And of course, the share price, I think they do a tremendous job. Other than that, I probably just reel out the same old stock responses. We have to tell you who I'm loyal to and why, but it's not Tesla. Because at the moment, with my money pit and all my dogs, I can't possibly afford a nice new car. But I think it's fairly easy for me to work out the brands I'm loyal to and why. So if you've got a moment, I'll just tell you my definition of loyalty and what it is, and how to go about thinking about it. And this isn't my creative thought. Unfortunately, I'm not that bright. But there's a fellow, Colin Shaw, who's authored a few books, and this was his wisdom many years ago. And here's what he said, Mark. And it's an analogy I use a lot with people. And it's basically, think about loyalty as a piggy bank. I'm not sure you Americans are familiar with piggy banks, but in England, we have these ceramic porcelain pigs. Why, I'm not sure. And they have a slot on the top we can put coins in, and it's basically you can store money in there for a rainy day, and there's a hole underneath where you can open and get your money out. So it's a kind of savings bank. And if you think about loyalty as a bank, there's money goes in and money comes out, or loyalty goes in and loyalty comes out, and it comes down to customer experience. And I think this is why CX is such a hot topic, and it has been for decades. Every time you exceed a customer experience, money goes into the loyalty bank, and every time you miss their expectations. Every time you underachieve on their expectations, money comes out. So you exceed expectations, you put a smile on someone's face, they feel pleased, cared for, surprised in a good way. Money goes in, and if you fail to exceed their expectations, if you miss their expectations, then money comes out, and the amount of money that goes into the loyalty bank or comes out is kind of proportionate to how much you exceed or fail to meet their expectations. So to put that into example, one of the brands in the UK or was quite loyal to for a while. Bearing in mind, the obscene amount of money I spend on dog smart and dog food and insurance. I needed a new pair of shoes. I can't have nice shoes because they get slobbered and trodden on, and I'm always going in the garden on the tractor or out the chainsaw and getting told off for wearing my nice shoes. So I wanted to buy a pair of boots. So I went to a local supermarket in the UK, a grocery store, Asda, I think part of Walmart, and they have a range called George. And you think, oh God, I'm shopping for shoes in the supermarket. Oh, how cringy is that? But actually, for £15, I bought an amazing pair of boots. They were stylish, they were comfortable, and they've lasted for years. And that's an example of something exceeding my expectations. I had an expectation that the boots would be, ugly, uncomfortable, they'd fall apart in minutes. But for £15, the quality was there, the price was right, and they lasted. And I got some good remarks on them. And I think, when a brand can exceed your expectations in terms of the quality of the product, the price of the product, or the service you receive afterwards, that's all good. All those positive emotions, feeling pleased, valued, and cared for, money goes into the loyalty bank. If you phone up an organization to say, my £100 pair of shoes fell apart after 5 minutes, that's a very negative emotion. That's annoyance, almost anger. And if you can't get through on the phone first time, that's frustration. And when people feel frustrated, annoyed, disappointed, anxious, fearful, whatever it might be, these negative emotions take money out of the loyalty bank. And it's an easy model to understand. The more you can meet and exceed expectations, the better. So that's the way we think about it. But that's kind of rooted in fundamental principles that you need to balance the price to the product. People are, I've been on airlines. You fly with Qatar Airlines and you expect, fantastic food, a comfy seat, instant check-in, a massage halfway through, it's a premium airline. And again, it's very easy for them to underachieve those expectations if the plane takes off late. People get annoyed about, well, I'm paying us $2,000 a seat and they've taken off late. How dare they? Crikey, never flying these buggers again. And yet if you fly an economy airline, your expectations are so low to start with. They're going to take off late. There's going to be huge queues. My bags are going to get lost. The seat's going to be uncomfortable. The food I'm going to have to pay for is going to be disgusting. But actually, if you get there and there's a friendly smile, the queue isn't too long, your bags are taken care of. Okay, you've got to pay for your food, but if it's edible, that's a good thing. And if the plane takes off on time, if it lands on time, they've exceeded expectations. And again, it's very easy for them to exceed expectations. And every organization needs to look at where they're setting that bar in comparison to their competition, commensurate with their price point and the service they deliver, in terms of actually what is the bar that we need to achieve to meet customer expectations and ideally exceed them. And this is why customer journeys are so important, and this is why people look at CX. And the great news is it's measurable. It's largely measurable. You can track it. With some of our customers, I can pretty much tell them which of their customers are going to be defecting next month, because we can track that sentiment where possible across different channels, from the call center to our sales engagement to in-store experience, in terms of actually, how satisfied are our customers,
right?
And what are we going to do about it? So that's kind of our view of loyalty. And I say the brands that I'm loyal to are ones that exceed expectations. There's a great brand online called Heine Haines. It's one of those dogs. I mean, I'm kind of into knives. I like collecting knives and dangerous things. And Heine Haines is probably the best e-commerce experience I've ever had. You know, if you go onto Heine Haynes' website, and they're not the cheapest. I mean, they really aren't the cheapest. And I think this proves the point that if you get the product right and the service right, you can charge a premium for that. But by the time you've got it in your basket and checked out, within 30 seconds, you've got an email saying, we received your order. Within 2 minutes, you've got another email saying, your order is being packed and quality checked. Within 5 minutes, it's dispatched.
Wow.
Maybe not 5 minutes, an hour maybe, but they don't have one collection a day. I mean, it's literally an order comes in, you know, they acknowledge it, they go and pack it, they quality check it, and then it's shipped. You know, it's a bit like, you know, Domino's Express or Domino's Pizza for knives. I mean, it's just the engagement, the speed, and then the follow-up afterwards. Checking you received the goods, it's all okay. They have more reviews on their website than any other site I've seen. Most of them around the quality of the customer service. I would never buy my knives from anywhere else, Mark. And you know, the Wine Society in the UK don't have a program, but my goodness, the product is fantastic. They have a no quibble guarantee. If I was to open a bottle of wine this evening and not like it for any reason, they'll come and collect it. They'll come and collect it. Simple. They know me. I order enough from them. But it's just that attention to detail is just extraordinary. So for me, the brands I'm loyal to, I mean, where you bought a pair of shoes and the better quality than you expect for the price point, where the customer service is exceptional, where there's that personal touch, and where they don't let you down. You know, a bit like friendships. You're loyal to your friends until they screw you over. You know, and business is no different. So you have to look for those opportunities where you can exceed expectations, and where you're failing to meet them. That's what you need to address, because ultimately that's what keeps loyalty in the loyalty bank. And once that bank is empty, the loyalty's gone and the customer's gone too.
No, absolutely. A big fan of the loyalty bank idea. And the last question I think I have for today is, you know, what can we as a trade association be focused on, or should we be focused on, to help organizations like yourself and brands and kind of the industry? What are a couple of things or an idea that we may focus on that could help the industry?
In terms of Loyalty360, I think you're a great organization. You know, some of your content is fabulous. I think a lot of it that I've read is, you know, the what people are doing, and I think that's interesting. I think for a lot of folks out there, I'd be interested to know the why and the how as well. So I think in terms of, you know, showcasing some of that innovation, in terms of not just what it is, but why it's important, how it's being implemented, and just some more detailed case studies, as they really to showcase some of the innovations going on, you know, behind the scenes almost, I think would be very, very interesting to a lot of people. You know, every industry is different, every business is different, but I think some of the techniques and the learnings and the thought process, you know, can be shared and will apply universally. And I think as people are looking right now, we've got a program, we're doing something, the world has changed, is it working? Could we be doing better? Should we try something different? And where do we start looking for that? And to get the inspiration and the ideas. And I think that can be Loyalty360, you know, so that'd be my kind of advice, is just bring together some of those use cases, the what, the why, and the how. And, you know, a great platform for people to learn.
Great. Well, we'll definitely focus on that. We're trying to do more and more of that, especially on the brand side, is telling stories of what they're doing and how they're doing it, right? How they're leveraging platforms, how they're measuring it, how they're looking at it. So, and obviously working with organizations like yourself to do the same thing, and how you're helping different organizations with regard to their challenges and opportunities they see. And obviously you're doing some great work. Well, thank you very much, Marlon. It's definitely been one of the more entertaining Loyalty Lives we had, if not the most entertaining. We got through about half of the questions, but that said, I think I had a smile on my face most of the interview. It was definitely very engaging for sure. So I appreciate the time.
Well, you're very welcome, Mark. And we can maybe do the other half another time. You know, business has to be fun, doesn't it? You know,
very good. It was definitely interesting, and look forward to talking to you soon. Again, thank you very much for everything you do for the industry, and thanks to everyone for tuning in today. See you Friday. Thank you.